Have you ever felt like your dreams were too big for the world you lived in? Like you were meant for more, but something was holding you back? This is the story of Ethan Parker, a boy from a small town in Ohio, a place where life moved slowly and dreams often felt out of reach. While other kids were outside playing, Ethan was inside, his mind racing with ideas for apps, businesses, and stories he wanted to tell the world. But his reality was tough. His dad was a mechanic who worked long hours, and his mom juggled multiple jobs just to keep the family afloat. Money was always tight, and opportunities were scarce. To many, a boy like Ethan, with his head in the clouds, was destined to settle for an ordinary life. But Ethan refused to settle. He carried a notebook everywhere, filling it with sketches, plans, and goals. Still, a shadow of self-doubt followed him everywhere. He'd lie awake at night, staring at his ceiling, whispering to himself, "Who am I to think I can actually make a difference?" Fear was his constant companion, fear of failure, fear of what people would think, fear that his dreams were just too ambitious for a kid from a small town. Then came a turning point. In high school, Ethan was a good student, smart, but quiet, never one to draw attention. But his computer science teacher, Mrs. Langford, saw something special in him. One afternoon, she handed him a flyer for a national coding competition. "You should enter," she said, looking him straight in the eye. "You have the talent, Ethan. Don't let fear decide for you." For the first time, someone truly believed in him, and that belief lit a fire inside him. So, he entered. His bedroom turned into a command center, littered with pizza boxes, coffee cups, and stacks of notebooks. He coded late into the night, every single night. There were so many times he hit a wall, a problem he couldn't solve, and the urge to quit was overwhelming. But then he'd hear Mrs. Langford's voice in his head, and he'd push through the frustration. On the day of the competition, his stomach was a mess of nerves and excitement. He was up against students from some of the most prestigious schools in the country. For a second, he felt completely out of place, like an imposter. But as soon as he started coding, all that noise just faded away. Hours later, as they announced the results, his heart pounded in his chest. And then he heard it. First place, Ethan Parker. That victory was so much more than a trophy. It was proof. It was a sign that hard work and courage could actually beat fear. News of his win spread, catching the eye of tech mentors and local papers. Before he knew it, he had a scholarship offer from a top university. But college was a whole new battlefield. The world was bigger, faster, and way more competitive than he'd ever imagined. He was suddenly surrounded by brilliant people who seemed to know more, do more, and achieve more. That old feeling, imposter syndrome, came creeping back. He spent countless sleepless nights thinking, "Maybe I'm just not good enough for this." But Ethan had learned a powerful lesson from that first competition. Consistency beats talent when talent doesn't work consistently. So, he doubled down, he studied harder, he networked, he sought out mentors. He failed at small ventures, but every single failure was a lesson, every setback a stepping stone. By his senior year, he had developed an app to connect local businesses with freelance talent, an idea born from watching small shops in his hometown struggle to survive. The app started gaining traction. Investors began to notice, and Ethan was faced with a massive choice: take a safe, stable corporate job, or risk it all on the uncertain path of entrepreneurship. Fear came knocking again, louder than ever, the thought of failing, of losing everything, of disappointing everyone who had supported him. It was paralyzing. But then he remembered his journey. He remembered the late nights coding, the early mornings studying, and all the times he wanted to quit but didn't. He had learned that courage in the absence of fear. It's taking action in spite of it. He chose to leap. He launched his startup with a tiny team, a borrowed office, and an uncheckable belief in his mission. And the beginning was brutal. The app crashed, investors were skeptical. The media questioned if his idea was even necessary. Friends and family worried, asking, "Why are you risking everything? The weight of it all was crushing. But beneath the pressure, that fire inside him was still burning. He worked tirelessly. He personally visited local businesses, listened to their problems, and tweaked the app based on their feedback. And slowly, things started to change. Small wins turned into bigger wins. Users grew, the reviews turned positive, and eventually, his app was recognized nationally as a tool that was truly empowering small communities. 10 years later, Ethan Parker stood on a stage at a major tech conference. The boy from Ohio, who once doubted himself in his tiny bedroom, was now speaking to thousands of young entrepreneurs. He shared his story, not to brag, but to remind every single person in that room that greatness starts with belief. That failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of the journey. Your background doesn't define you, he said, his voice filled with passion. Your failures don't define you. Your fears don't define you. What defines you is the choice to keep moving forward, to fight for your dreams, and to believe that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. The applause was thunderous, not just for his success, but for the universal truth in his story. That night, Ethan returned to Ohio. He walked the same familiar streets of his childhood. He passed the diner where he worked on his first coding projects, the library where he read about his heroes, the park where he wondered if his dreams were even possible. The town looked the same, but he had changed. He realized that motivation isn't just about big wins or public recognition. It's about resilience. It's about the quiet victories that happen when no one is watching. It's about daring to dream when the odds are stacked against you, turning doubt into determination, and fear into fuel. Ethan's story became a beacon for others. He started mentoring young entrepreneurs, proving that greatness is accessible to anyone willing to put in the work, face their fears, and simply refuse to quit. Because in the end, his journey wasn't just about building a business. It was about building a mindset that refuses to surrender. And that's the real secret. Every dream, no matter how big or how crazy it seems, begins with one single decision to try. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's keep inspiring each other to chase our dreams. See you in the next video.